The case is... Seriously?
DSLR Film Noob.
Alright guys, what I've got right here is a Samson Airline Micro UHF wireless transmitter. This guy runs about $250 to $300. It transmits on the UHF band, which makes it a little bit more reliable than some of the VHF transmitters that are in the lower $100 range on Amazon or on eBay. This guy is also half the price of the Sennheiser G2 units that I normally use to record these tutorials and do other video work. So I thought this would be a good opportunity to compare this to something that is about twice its price and see how it stacks up against a more expensive competitor. I also need a couple of extra wireless mics for my second camera, and buying one of these for half the price of the Sennheiser G2 is very conducive to a second camera unit. Let's test this out and see how it stacks up against the Sennheiser G2 wireless unit. But before we get too far into audio tests, let's take a look at what's inside the box. Alright, so let's open the box up. If you flip this right here and pull this little tab and pop this open, you'll notice that there is this really nice black case that holds all of the equipment. So let's unzip that. Inside you'll see that you have a molded fit to hold your transmitter and receiver along with the docking station, and there's pockets for all of the equipment. So when you open the package, you'll find the wireless receiver, the wireless transmitter, the docking station, USB charger, a windscreen for the microphone, this little cold shoe adapter for the receiver unit so you can mount it to your camera, an XLR to 1/8 inch adapter, and this 1/8 inch to 1/8 inch adapter along with this lapel microphone. If you set the two wireless transmitters side by side, you'll notice that the Airline Micro is about half the size of the Sennheiser G2. If you flip them sideways, you'll also notice that the Airline Micro is about half as thick. That's because the Sennheiser G2 uses two AA batteries for its power source, whereas the Airline Micro has an internal lithium-ion battery that powers the unit. This is good for now, but it could be a problem in the future if the battery starts to fade. The Samson Airline Micro is kind of a pain to program. You have to hold down this button up here for 5 seconds until the light flashes from green to yellow. The yellow is an indicator for the volume level. Slower blinks means lower volume levels, and faster blinks means higher volume levels. You press this button and increase the blinking until you get to the rate that you want. If you want to decrease it, then you have to continue to click it until the blinking slows down. Once you've got the level set that you would like, you have to leave it set for about 10 seconds for the blinking to time out and go back into regular green active mode. And there, now it's in active mode. That's kind of a complex way to set the volume up for this guy, and there's no actual indicators other than the blinking light to let you know what your volume levels are currently set at. This is the Airline Micro receiver. You'll notice that there's not a lot on here. You have a power switch on the front, and on the back you have your audio output, and you have this little switch that is a mic line pad, also the little input for the USB charger. You'll notice that there are two little silver nubs right here. These silver nubs are actually extendable antenna for the unit. The wireless receiver comes with this little cold shoe adapter. The cold shoe adapter holds it in with this little piece of foam right here in the center. You slide the unit in like so, and if you look on the back, you'll notice it still leaves you room to access the switch and to use the audio output of the receiver unit. It also gives you plenty of room for the antennae if you want to pull them out and extend them. Alright, so what I've got for the purposes of this demonstration are both wireless transmitters on a bracket. Each of them is using their XLR outputs into this Beach Tech adapter. The Beach Tech adapter allows a stereo output, so I'm using the left channel for one and the right channel for the other, and this is fed into the camera and recorded on board so that you can get an idea of what the audio from each of these units sound like. I have the Airline Micro plugged in right here, and I have the G2 unit plugged in here. Both of these are connected at the same spot on my shirt with similar volume adjustments on the camera so that the levels are about the same. One is feeding the left channel of the camera's recorded audio, and the other one is feeding the right channel of the camera's recorded audio, so you can get an idea of what each of these sound like. This is test number 2 after I had a chance to read the manual and make a few adjustments to the Airline Micro's output level. It seemed like the noise floor was a little bit high in the first test I ran, so test number 2 I've adjusted the output so that it's a little bit stronger. Hopefully that separates the noise floor from the audio so that you don't hear that little bit of hiss that's creeping in whenever I'm not speaking. If you feel that the level of the microphone needs further adjustment, press and hold the AL2 multifunction switch. The unit is powered on until the status indicator turns off. Then release the switch. Press and hold the multifunction switch again for 5 seconds. The AL2 status indicator will first flash green, then flash yellow. After taking the time to review both test 1 and test 2, it seemed like the Airline Micro improved significantly when I increased the output volume of the transmitter. The audio from the Sennheiser G2 unit was very clear and transparent. On the other hand, the Airline Micro seemed to add a little bit of bass to my voice and seemed to reduce the high end just a little bit. I also noticed that when I wasn't speaking to the mic, there was a little bit of hiss coming from the Airline Micro. I didn't notice this coming from the G2. Now, that doesn't mean that the audio coming from the Airline Micro isn't usable. It's just not quite as pristine as the audio coming from the Sennheiser unit. Now, the Airline Micro is only $250 to $300, which is a pretty darn good price. That's about $200 to $300 less than the Sennheiser unit. I think most people will be very happy with the audio quality that they get out of this unit for the price range. You might be able to get better sound out of this if you put a nicer microphone on the Airline Micro unit. This guy right here is a very good deal. It comes with all the accessories and a nice pack. If you want to find out more about the Airline Micro, swing over to the DSLR Film Noob website and check out the full review. Also have links in the crotch bar below. I'd love to hear from you guys and let me know what you think about the audio from this versus the audio from the Sennheiser G2. As always, thanks for watching. And if you like this content, please subscribe.